browsing, just basically want to know this images and browse scoring is actually pretty much the same like any other previous testing or sample video this that I basically need to test one by one. So it's around 17 minutes and there's actually still the standard video, manual video footage that I basically need to create in Gmail. This was actually a portrait video again, so I'm not sure whether when I find out it because it's definitely camera because it's just pretty good if it has vertical orientation or aspect ratio. So this is the keyboard that I basically tried to mention before. So it was the i80 keyboard, but it was already rebranded by local brands. But for some reason, I just don't get why this local brand can basically try to sell in a very cheap price, and I never really see the alternatives that basically try to be overseas directly with this exact same price. So yeah, that's the reason why I just tried to bought it eventually, even though I basically already tried to postpone many times to bought this keyboard because I always think the stock is still pretty big, but it turns out it still keep restock once more, around 30 stocks with this same exact colors, or the one that basically not restock is actually the black ones, but I actually prefer the silver one instead because it's just more represent the full aluminum body of the keyboards. So yeah, basically you cannot see a thing with the keyboards right now because yeah, my laptop is just filling of the space. That's basically happened in this video, so it's pretty much unnecessary unboxing perhaps with very big lag, but oh well, maybe I will try to fast forward the video when I try to upload it, perhaps, I'm not sure, because it will be pretty interesting to see how I try to pick up the switches faster than this original state. So yeah, I'm not sure about the last video that I will need to finish because I definitely need to prepare on going to somewhere in around 45 minutes perhaps. So yeah, and this video is still 15 minutes remaining, and it's obviously gonna be quite a long video because yeah, I think this is actually the longest because when I tried to record the last video, it's actually until my 4GB SD card is run out of storage immediately or automatically. So yeah. So this is actually the keycaps that I basically tried to disassembly previously from my Echo ACR keyboard, but I didn't try to record them because I basically pretty struggle to disassembly the switch. So it's definitely gonna be a very long video, and besides it's definitely unnecessary as well. Because yeah, the switch puller that I try to use is actually the one that basically try to be combined with the keycaps puller as well, but it was actually not an expensive keycap switch puller. It's actually the cheapest perhaps, so it's only around $1 for the combination 2-in-1 keycaps and switch pullers. That's the reason why it's just really bad. Even the keycaps puller is also not as good as the one that dedicated to it, obviously, even though it's kind of look the same at some point. So yeah, maybe quality is definitely really matters if you talk about things. So money never So I basically tried to install the Cherry MX red switches first and tried to test it. I guess I already tried to test it previously and it's basically working fine, so I decided to continue to the rest of the keyboards. Even though for some reason I'm still not able to know the use of the F13 and the delete button. Maybe because I basically need to program it through VIA first, because yeah, this keyboard is also compatible with VIA, which is pretty good because it was an open source keyboard mapping. So it's technically like the cheapest custom keyboard that you can buy, even though there is other keyboards that basically support VIA that basically cheaper than this, but consider this has a full aluminum body and hot swappable switches, the salt facing one as well. I think there's no very competitive brands that can basically has the same price as this, so it's only around $70. So yeah, so I'm actually just trying to test it right now. Going into the keyboard, online keyboard tester, even though you can't see a thing in the screen because I basically didn't try to increase the brightness of my laptop, so it was actually in the lowest brightness. So as you can see, the keyboard has a red underglow, so it was not a backlight for each of the keys. So that's the reason why at some point it was actually a little bit weird, because it's kind of looked like there is some dead LEDs on many of the keys, but it's actually because it was not meant to be the backlight of the keys. And I'm just not sure how to turn off the backlight as well. Probably need to use those VIA as well. Perhaps, I'm not sure. Because yeah, the right modifiers, which is the 1.5U modifiers, is actually act the same way like the left modifiers, the regular 1.5U size. So yeah, that's the reason why in order to fill this keyboard is also need to use the pretty expensive keycaps, perhaps, that basically support 7U spacebar, even though this was not using the 7U, but consider the right modifier is actually the same like the 7U spacebar. And of course it's just the rest of the keycaps is actually the same, like 1.75U shift, right shift. So yeah, that's the reason why it's actually possible to use the previous keycaps that I basically tried to use for the Eco ACR keyboard, but yeah, it's basically not possible because except for the right modifier, which is basically use 1.5U, which is pretty rare to be included in the built-in keyboard, I guess. I never really see a keyboard that basically have a built-in 7U keyboards. So it's already more than halfway of the video, and obviously I still have a lot of switch to be installed. So this is actually my first south-facing hot swappable keyboard, if I'm not mistaken, even though for the non-hot swappable, I think most of the keyboards, most of the old brands premium keyboard is actually already south-facing, but yeah, I never really had for the hotspot one before, so in order to install the switch is a little bit weird. You need to flip vertically 180 degrees, then useful. So basically, still try to think the combination of the switches, because there are a lot of different switches that I basically try to use instead of just one single, because I just basically didn't have a lot of switch that basically in the same brand or same exact type, unless it was actually comes from the secondhand keyboards that basically use it. So yeah, mixes switches is actually not really good because it's just sound inconsistent. So yeah, but oh well, it's just too lazy to search other switches that basically consistent. Maybe I basically need to disassembly other keyboards as well. Not sure. Just definitely pretty struggle, especially when I didn't have sufficient switch puller or even keycaps puller that I basically can use pretty fast to disassembly. So the switches is actually one is over one switches only, but it eventually use because for some reason one of the get rod brown or Outemo brown, I'm not sure, is just not work. So I need to change into those. I think those echo switches, silver switches, I'm not sure. Because I used to collect many switches, many chip switches, many mix chips. So I thought got a bit interruption. I'm not sure. Because yeah, it's just 4 minutes remaining and it's really I just want to finish this or even as one more videos that basically I want to create, because yeah, I definitely not able to have sufficient time to do another live stream or even good behavior or even karaoke. And I basically never, it's been a while that I didn't do it, because yeah, it seems to be I'm just feel tired and lazy lately, but hopefully with the new 512 gigabyte of flash drive to make my main SSD, my main half SSD that basically use on this MacBook Air to be more have a more free capacity. I basically try to process or upload the long videos that I basically try to postpone for quite a while, because yeah, for some reason uploading those kind of videos still have a bigger probabilities than my regular live stream. Maybe because most of the time when I try to do live stream, it was actually only once in a day, so that's the reason why it's not really spamming the SEO, the YouTube SEO. So I just don't get it. When will I finally able to watch something that I basically dream of? Even though it was actually not that expensive, but it was definitely impossible to do right now, especially when I just don't want to waste the money that I basically already saved for buying another stuffs that hopefully more worth it than the one that basically cheaper, but it will need to waste more money from you in more short time, perhaps. I'm not sure. So that's the reason why right now I'm just trying to find something that's basically can overcome my other desires, even though at some point the other desires is just unreplaceable, perhaps. Because yeah, at some point if you talk about the same thing with the same type of things, where there obviously a standardization for those things. And sadly, if you talk about the cheapest things that basically available on those kind of type, it's just not really good, and yeah, it's basically will give a drawback to you instead, or I don't know. Maybe unless if it was really urgent, then yeah, it's still technically possible. But if it's not, I think being patient and just try to save for better things on those type is actually better than forcing into the cheapest one that's basically available. So yeah, I basically already complete installing all of the switches, and now I'm trying to test it. And it turns out some of the switches cannot be registered, especially the F4.